Hello, everyone. It's me, Josh, and I'm gonna talk about pro wrestling a little bit more. And I like so many promotions out there. There's a lot of good promotions, and then you got the ones that are more for adults. And you always think, is it wise to bring your children to a show that's more for adults? Probably not, because they're not gonna understand that what they're saying isn't really true. But bottom line is, and there are some matches that I think were done in poor taste, and I love pro wrestling, and the whole battle of the sexes thing, I believe it's just a load of crap. I think everyone who works hard and wants to be there should be there, and no matter who says what. I mean, like, there's always going to be sexist fans, there's always going to be sexist people in the companies, and you just got to ignore them. Because, I mean, you look at my friends who have basically gone through, worked hard and still there. I mean, some are retiring because, pro wrestling, it wears out your body. Um, and the thing is, I don't think the fans understand how demanding it is. We sit at home, or if we're at a live event and we have no idea what it takes to be put in that ring and to put our bodies online every single time. And and I always had concerns. It's like I never want to see any of my friends or anybody hurt during a match because I've seen in ring accidents, and you kind of worry about it. Like I would never ask my friends to jump off the tallest structure to deliver a move, but some of my friends are crazy, anyways. Sorry. Um, you just being a fan, you're kind of concerned about it. I mean, I went from being a mark to becoming a fan, and the fact about like I used to believe the storylines, and sometimes I look back and I'm like, there were some great storylines, like especially in WWE during the time. Like they had some believable storylines. Like as a fan, you believed it. Nowadays, it's just it's hard to believe anything anymore. I mean, there's some storylines that I would have to say really does it, you know, really upsets me, or bothers me. It's like go out there and put on a show, do it for the fans, but remember why you're there. I mean, without us fans, pro wrestling would be dead. And there's been times where I think pro wrestling did die. And it's like I said, the most common problem is, there are some promotions that are for adults only, and I don't recommend little children going to the show, especially like AIW. That show is pretty intense, and I wouldn't recommend anybody who's got a faint of heart to go either. But there's some things that I really don't care for the commentators. I only care about the people in the ring, and those are the people that I would show up and support. Not because it's an adult only show, but it's because to me, there's a lot of great talents in that ring, and that's the problem. There's a lot of great talents out there, and I feel like they're being misused a little bit. And y'all just go out there and make yourself look like a fool. Everyone's like, well, when is pro wrestling going to get serious again? Well, pro wrestling shouldn't be serious. It should never be that serious. But if it does, the chances are, it's because I mean, some workers take it seriously, but they got to remember to relax. I wouldn't do anything to just insult a bunch of people I don't even know. Excuse me. You know, it, there's a lot of shows out there, and I haven't been to any of them because the thing is, I just don't have a way to go, and I'm like the only fan in the household that really likes pro wrestling. And if a show came up to Fort Wayne or somewhere closer, I probably would go. And there's a lot of, like I said, there are a lot of great talents out there. Um, Being friends with some, it's awesome. I never thought I'd be friends with any of them because here I am, just a lonely fan, and they're in the ring wrestling, and most of them are very nice people. And again, they're people. We're not perfect, but you gotta be careful what you say because it could badly reflect on you. I mean, I wouldn't say anything out of character that, if I'm in character or out of character, there's some things that you shouldn't say to anybody. I mean, I don't care if it's written or not. It's one of those rules that you have to either, you have a moral, you should use a moral rule on that subject where, do I say something that would make fans feel uncomfortable? Would I say something to remind them they're just little fans? Because again, we're all fans. I mean, I mean, everyone who started out in the companies had to watch pro wrestling, or somebody says you got the look, or you just have the body for it, or you have the knack for it, or you have the talent for it. And sometimes you just have to work hard. And there's one lady out there that I wouldn't get along with, period, because she mistreated me like crap. Um, it's stuff that happens like that. Like she told me I don't belong, in a ring, and I'm like, oh, really? Well, if I had the money right now and I had a place to go, I'm gonna prove her wrong, and I'm gonna kick her butt all over the ring. Now, some of my friends or even my cousins are like, oh, you shouldn't wrestle girls. You shouldn't do that. Like, why not? What's wrong with that? I mean, I'm not going to hurt them on purpose. I mean, because that's the thing. I'm not going to do wrestling to hurt somebody on purpose. But if I accidentally hurt somebody, I probably would feel bad, and I probably would just retire right then and there, because my job is not to injure somebody, especially a friend. And a lot of people may find it funny. Why would I want to take on friends? Well, who doesn't? I mean, again, I'm friends with some really great, talented people, and I appreciate being their friend and being their fan. And I thank God every single day that I wake up and I get to, talk to them on Facebook or on Twitter or, wherever I'm at, also making these videos. And of course, people are always like, oh, why do you like pro wrestling? It's not real. Well, it's real to a certain degree. There's things that have happened, tragedies and stuff that just wasn't planned. And, that's just one of the many risks involved in pro wrestling. Like, I could just see my doctor saying, you're crazy if you think you could be a pro wrestler, because look at you, you're tiny, you're little. And that was another thing that really ticked me off so much when reading about companies. And they're like, well, we don't mind Rey Mysterio's size, but we prefer you to be bigger. And that just, to me, is like a shot at anybody who's not tall. Because I know plenty of mighty short people in the industry, and I wouldn't dare mess with them. Like my friend Lufisto, she's somebody I admire and respect her, and I wouldn't do anything. I wouldn't want to take her on a hardcore match, that's for damn sure. I'd be all over the ring. I'd be like out the back. I'd be like gone. I know that sounds like a chicken, but she's like hardcore, so I mean, and she does wrestle technically. I mean, she does straight up matches, but when it comes time for hardcore matches, that's the one person you want to get in the ring with, because she is dangerous. And I have all the respect in the world for it. And it's like I said, I respect every single person in that ring, male or female. I think the battle of the sexes is a load of crap. It's one of those age-old questions, who's stronger, male or females? And I know plenty of women who are pretty strong and have no problem slamming people's faces into the mat. And I tell you, that's something to behold right there. When you say, oh, she's just a little girl in this big ring, you're an idiot. I probably support women wrestling, and I think everyone who's in the ring should support it. If you don't support the talent's in the ring, then what the hell are you doing there? Maybe you should give it to somebody who deserves to be there, who has worked hard. If you can't handle that, then I suggest you exit the ring and retire right now. All right, everyone. Have a good day, and I will talk to you all later.